it does come down to the person, because there are a lot of men that aren't as good as me. Like, they can't do as much as I can. They're not as smart as I am. They're not as intelligent as I am. They can't do the things that a man should be able to do. You know, if they are a man and they can do everything.
And what realm are you talking about specifically that they can't do what you do?
They may not be able to make money the way I can. They may not be able to teach someone things like relationship advice, how to emotionally be intelligent, or how to build stability. You know, how you say you dominate, you teach them how to actually live in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, I came from a single parent household with my mom. My dad would not have been able to teach me the things that my mom has taught me. You know, they offer different things. My dad, the face. My dad may have taught me how to do things in the real world, yeah, but there's things that I wouldn't be able to imply also if my mom hadn't taught me those things as well. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you're using anecdotal experience to kind of prop up your argument. I'm just saying in general, men are better than women at most things. So
that's why I said you're overall statistically, but it does come down to the person.
Yeah, but exceptions don't make the rules, right? Like if we take one girl, for example, that's brilliant, that is an engineer and has a higher IQ, that's still a minority of the population versus like there's a lot more men that will reach that pinnacle. For example, most geniuses are men, but most retards are also men. So men dominate both sides of the spectrum when it comes to excellence and mediocrity. Most homeless people are men, you know?
Okay.
But the reality is the way we compensate for that is like we're also at the other spectrum of excellence as well. So whereas like women tend to be more in the middle.
Okay.
But,
that's fair.
You know, in general, you know, men are just better in everything. I mean, look, being honest, like if we had to rely on female ingenuity, we would still be rubbing sticks together for fires. Women don't invent anything. They don't really contribute to society like that.
Well, you want to say something?
Nah, I'm just.
I
let's
mean,
run through these questions.
Okay,
Mr. Men are better than everybody. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So
I think that's even shown in the way that you guys may select. You guys aren't looking for a man on your level or below you. You guys are looking for a man who's taller than you, makes more money than you. I mean, your own attraction triggers look for and filter for superiority.
Who's y'all?
Women.
In general.
Okay.
So the things that you're attracted and aroused by literally are superior to you. That's what women look for. They don't look for an equal. So wouldn't it be fair to say that to mate and be able to procreate, men need to be superior, therefore they are, because we have a very strong incentive to become superior, because it literally relates to whether we get to procreate or not? Think about it. Human beings are put on here to procreate. Fair? Would you all agree with that?
Sure,
Yes,
for the
yeah.
sake of the argument, okay.
Yeah, human beings are put on earth to procreate, right? It wasn't until modernity that now we have all these hobbies that we can engage in. But since the beginning of time, when we're put on earth, is to procreate. So for men, for us to procreate, we have to be competent to a degree, as stated by many of you. We need to be able to lead. We need to be able to be tall. We need to be able to be strong to protect you in hunter-gatherer days, right? Okay, now, what do men look for? Is she young and beautiful? We don't really screen for as much. So what ends up happening is, few men have the requirements where they're actually superior, but a lot of women have the requirements that men are looking for because we don't look for a superior, we look for an inferior. We're okay with inferior. So what ends up happening is 90% of women since the beginning of time have procreated, whereas only 40% of men since the beginning of time procreated. So the fact that 60% of men don't get to procreate proves my point. Women disqualify most men because they're not superior.
Ta-da.
I think that speaks statistically, but personally, I can do everything for myself that a man could do for me.
Fair.
So,
So since you, okay, thank you for saying that. Since you could do everything for yourself that a man can do, wouldn't it make sense that a man needs to bring more to the table?
right, yeah, I agree, but it also wouldn't be a problem.
Checkmate.
No, but it also
Do you just see
wouldn't-
what you did there?
It wouldn't be a
You
problem,
triggered my trap card!
bro.
Benito.
No, because that would be nice, but that's not what I need. You know,
So what do you need then? What do you need from men?
I need that emotional intelligence. Like I said, I need loyalty. Like she said, you need. I don't feel like just
No,
because
there's no loyalty, so I take that back, right? Because niggas be cheating.
No, but he's saying, like he said
I
earlier,
take
he's
that
like,
back.
a homeless got to be loyal.
Well, the
No,
way
I ain't submitting to shit.
But
you don't want him, though.
Starting today, anybody see me on this shit? I ain't submitted to nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean,
said
hey, I mean, you better will, man.
So can I
way y'all think-
jump
So here's
in?
the thing.
Everybody
And I talk about this ad nauseum on my book, Why Women Deserve Less. That since women as a byproduct of feminism, get their own education, earn their own income, etc., what's happened is their standards have went up. If a woman could provide for herself what a man historically has provided, he needs to bring more to the table than what he used to provide
But
because you can do it
weren't
yourself.
listening.
I'm listening very closely.
Like I said, that would be nice, but that doesn't mean that I'm not okay with a man that can do just as equal as I can do. I feel like I can protect myself. If a man can equally protect me as I can protect myself, that's fine. I don't need you to be big, bad, and strong. Like, that's not what I need. I don't need you to be the most handsome man or the tallest man on the planet. Like, that's not what I need. I would rather be with an emotionally intelligent and loyal, ugly ass man than a tall,
There's no
handsome,
loyal
rich
men's.
man. Like,
Forgot about that.
my fault. My fault. My
At this
fault.
point, we might as well just fuck some bitches.
Oh God! Like,
And
I
call
would
it a
rather
day.
be with an ugly man that's emotionally intelligent and treats me right than someone who thinks they have everything because they're tall and handsome and they have money. Like, because that's not what that might be what y'all think women look for, but that's not what we look for. And maybe that's why we get cheated on and y'all do the cheating. Because we look for the important stuff. We don't look for, oh, does he have money? Does he have this? Does he have that? We don't look for that. And y'all can back me on that. I don't
know what's
personally
interesting?
look for that. But
Right? With women, right? Whenever we ask you guys what you like, you guys give politically correct answers. Like, he doesn't have to be handsome. He just got to be a good person. He's got to be emotionally intelligent, right? This buzzword that women like to use all the time. But what we found, right, when you poll women and what they're actually looking for, it's actually far more rigid than you guys like to admit, right? You guys are actually far more selective than you like to admit, and there's a bunch of social reasons for this, because if men knew the truth about what women actually look for, it makes you guys look bad, makes you guys look extremely surface level, because as much as women try to sit there and say that men are, what's the term, shallow, I would argue women are far more shallow than men, and you guys are far more rigid in your standards. For example, if a woman reaches a certain level, she wants the man at that level, if not better, and I would argue as you rise up the totem pole, you want better for yourself. Now, you're saying, oh, well, I don't need all these things because I could do it myself. But what you don't understand inadvertently is that as you can do more things for yourself, you are less likely to tolerate men that cannot do for yourself. Do you not understand that?
No,
because
yeah,
women,
and I get that, but that doesn't mean that I'm not okay.
Hold on. Because women, when you guys come into a relationship, the goal is to extract. This is the way it's been since the beginning of time. Women don't come into a relationship saying, oh, like, let me provide for this man. No, you guys come in, what can this man provide for me? And that's fine. That's a millennia of biological, training. But for us, we come into the relationship understanding that we must provide value. This is why men are supposed to pay for the first dates. This is why men are supposed to plan things. This is why men are supposed to open a door. We have to provide value up front, or else we don't get a choice, or else we don't get a chance. You guys can kind of sit back and assess, is this guy worth it or not? And you guys go from there. And as you become more and more attractive and your standards go up, he has to do more to impress you. That's kind of what it is. And feminism has made it this way.
I do agree with you at some point on that, but not to your extreme. Because, and it's not one or the other, because your extreme is very extreme. But, like, of course...
What part of it is extreme specifically so I can address it?
Because you think that a relationship is supposed to be a dictatorship. That's not what a relationship is. If that was what a relationship was, then you are finding women who want to be dictated, who want to be controlled, who want your money. Like, that's what they want. But
you're a Christian, right?
I am.
You do understand that the Bible literally dictates a dictatorship within the Bible.
In itself.
In itself.
Okay. Well,
you follow a religion.
Like
you follow a religion that literally says the man is the head of the household and is the leader.
And you know what? I agree. I do think that the man is head of household. I do, but not. That does not mean
that he doesn't take input in from his wife.
Excuse me.
But that also, hold on.
What's the hierarchy?
Because
what did God say?
Because I don't, you know what? No, both of y'all, I don't care what God said.
She don't care.
This is what. No.
Stop the fucking. Stop the show.
Hold on.
Chris,
what's up?
Rewind. You don't care what God said. What? You are not a Christian, my friend. You are. Everything else will be.
Yo.
No, because I said I'm working on myself as a Christian. That does not mean anything.
Let's go to Rumble, guys.
And then we'll
go in.
Then we end the show.
Literally, bro, she told herself so bad.
I said that I'm a Christian. Y'all know I literally
expose your ass right now. Expose your ass.
Drop the Rumble link.
Y'all act like
Rumble,
men.
Holy, you a real demon,
nobody's
dog.
hungry in here. Like,
Holy,
are we almost done?
Yes.
Oh,
No,
God.
I'm hungry as hell.
All right, girls, relax. All right, it's
Wow.
fine. We'll go over the chats and then we'll end the show. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So, well, that was interesting, and I think that's kind of the problem, right? No offense to you, but you're not the first one to do this.
No, because men, the problem is y'all don't know how to listen, so you don't get what I'm
Listen to
saying.
you?
Okay, what are you
No,
saying?
yeah, because I
you?
told y'all at the beginning of this podcast, everybody wants to bash me about being a Christian. I believe in God. I do. But I'm not, like I said, I don't go to church like I should. I don't be in my Bible like I should. But that doesn't make me any less Christian. That doesn't mean that I don't sin. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that I follow the Bible like I'm supposed to. I think there are things in the Bible that are stated and they should be followed, but like I said, we're all human and we can't follow that. We can
but
try,
you're
but
picking and
Jesus is
choosing, though.
perfect and we are not.
No, but
Like,
you're picking and choosing.
Do you
I'm
eat
not
shrimp?
picking and choosing.
Like,
I'm trying
intentionally though.
No, not intentionally.
Do you eat shrimp?
Because I do, like he
For me?
said, and I told him
No.
I agreed with him.
Do you
I
mix-
agree with him that a man should be dominant. He should be head of household, but that doesn't
Do you wear linen with
Heresy.
mixed
not
fabrics?
to the extreme.
Heresy.
Do you have
Honestly,
tattoos,
I mean,
piercings?
I'm not saying anything really different from your book, but
Techno.
you're saying I take it to the extreme. But literally, what I'm saying is pretty much aligned with the Bible when it comes to male leadership and responsibility
Yes,
and taking
that's
care of the family
leadership,
and stuff.
but yours is missing love. You are supposed to love in a
Love is paying your
relationship.
bills.
That
fighting
is
for you,
not.
dying for you.
That is awful.
That's how guys
if you
show
think
awful,
that
but dying?
if a man was just giving me money
That's
and
awful.
expecting me to love him, and he isn't loving me or showing me loyalty or showing me the
only
things
heard
that a
me.
man
So let me be-
should.
let me
There is
be
no
very-
loyalty.
There
Can we
is
please stop
nothing
saying
there.
loyalty?
Okay, so here's a problem, right?
Loyalty's off the table today.
God.
So here's the
Like
thing,
cheaters.
ladies, and this goes to show, like, when I say that women don't know what men want or whatever, or you guys don't understand certain things, this is what I mean. So women think that men should love them the way that you're supposed to love us. It's your job to show affection. It's your job to be emotional. It's your job to be there and comfort us, okay? Our job is to protect you and provide for you.
That's a
how men
dictatorship,
show
not
love.
a relationship.
Men
That's-
show
that's
love. Hold
facts.
on.
I'll
Men
protect
show
and provide
love.
as well.
Men show love from going to work by going to work, suffering through work, earning a paycheck, giving you that money so that you can live a more cush life and not have to deal with the discomfort of the workforce and everything else. Now, again, we live in modernity, so guys are able to, work jobs that might not be as strenuous. But since the beginning of time, men went out and worked really hard and brought the resources back to their woman so that she wouldn't have to. Okay, that is how men show love, through sacrifice, through dedication, and providing for their family and being willing to die to protect said family. Women, on the other hand, you guys have to show it overtly because, quite frankly, we have to bring far more to the table. So, yes, it's your job to be nurturing. It's your job to be loving. It's your job to show your affection through emotion. That's not our job. Our job is to show love through action.
So this is 2025 and women do have to work. Tell me where you can find a man other than yourself, since you'd provide for all your women. Tell me where you can find, as a woman, can you find a man that will literally take you somewhere, pay for all your things, and say, this is it. This is 100% it. No, you have to get to know that person. You have to want that person. They have to want you back. There has to be love there before anyone's willing to provide for anybody.
Yeah, but
Like,
you're making the mistake of you're basically taking. You're trying to take biology and say that it's determined by social constructs. Like, the biology is that women still want a provider and a leader. Like, what you're saying is like, oh, well, we can be more equal and have egalitarianism. It doesn't work that way, though. 50-50 relationships never work.
I don't think it should be 50-50, and that's what I said I agree with you on, is a man should be head of household, but not to the point where it's a dictatorship, because that's not a relationship. A relationship involves love, and there's no
So who has
love.
the final say then?
That is between you and your partner.
Yeah, but there's always going to be... See, man.
Because
Okay, hold on.
if I had a man and he wanted both of us to work and both of us pay bills and whatever, statistically, men do make more money. They do, 100%. And
Yeah, but
so
there's got
I
to be a
would
final
expect,
decision maker. Nothing ever gets done by a committee. Like, you can listen to your wife and take her opinion, of course. But at the end of the day, one person has to be the decision maker. It's got to be the man, not the woman.
But a
think-
dictatorship doesn't take into account other people's opinions, is what she's saying.
like,
Okay.
It is
you're
a
in a
job,
relationship,
and if
you
you want to go
discuss
by
that.
religious
Look,
or
if she's going to take the literal term of a dictator, that's fine. But even a dictator has advisors on his board. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if she wants to take it literally there. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, your wife's opinion does matter. But at the end of the day, you make the final decision. Her opinion can be brought in or not. You reserve the right to tell her, shut up, I'm going to make this decision. Or I'll take your opinion into play. That's what I'm saying. The man needs to have that level of authority. But the problem is this. This is the same shit what I've noticed with modern women. This is the problem with modern women. You guys want chivalry, protection, a man being a gentleman, all these things in place, be a provider, but you guys don't want to pay your fair share and submit. You guys want to be able to still give your opinion, give your takes, be an equal partner. That's not how this goes. If I'm responsible for everything, I also have authority over everything. And I'm one of the few guys that like puts this out there. Now, a lot of men think the way I do. They just don't want to put it out there publicly because they get kind of the backlash that you guys are giving, where it's like, well, this doesn't make sense. That's not fair.
Dictatorship.
So men just don't talk to y'all about this. They just say, oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah, but how about if you get a man that can't provide, but that's your man? What do you do then? You still got to listen to the man that.
Well, to be honest with you, if you're a
How does that
woman,
work?
if you're a woman and you get with a man that can't provide, you're an idiot.
That's on you.
You're an idiot. You're a complete idiot.
Fair enough.
You know,
Because we care about
I'm not
someone's
big on that.
characteristics more than their money.
That's not
That is
tangible,
sad
though.
that you look at
That's
someone's
not gonna
money
pay the bills,
before you
though.
look at their
Okay.
Okay,
characteristics.
but listen, I have a son, and I don't want my son going around thinking he got to take care of all of females' bills. Like, girl, you need to do something for yourself. So I don't agree with that for that reason. Like, I feel like women should, get your ass up and go do something while you could walk, and that's just that. But if men need to pay for everything and that's what you guys think, then hey, it's your opinion. You're entitled to whatever.
it's the way the world has worked from forever.
Yeah.
We've
Not
only
today,
had
it doesn't.
Okay, well is today better than before?
Well, you ain't married.
I wasn't here before.
Okay.
You weren't either.
Okay,
Like-
I wasn't,
Thank
but
God.
here's the thing. You can study history, and I will tell you, since feminism in the 1960s and birth control pill and the sexual revolution, all these things
Fuck
happened.
your mother, bitch.
Which-
Sorry, somebody
Wait,
said
wait,
fuck
wait,
your
wait,
son.
wait, wait, who?
Somebody said fuck your son, so I said
She's
fuck
talking,
your mother,
she's
bitch.
talking to the chat.
Hey,
Which
chat, all right?
when feminism, right, which has created female equality and all these things that we have, this egalitarian society that we have, nothing is good come from it, right? We have the highest divorce rates ever. We have the lowest marriage rates ever. Secularism is on the rise. The relationships are worse than ever before. Women can't find men.
Yep.
Men can't find women. We have the highest concentration of thoughts ever. So feminism basically has kind of fucked y'all up because most women now can't find a good guy. You go back to the 1950s, prior to feminism, a man was able to support a woman and a household off one salary from working at a factory. But now, thanks to feminism, we've doubled the workforce. The dollar is down. The economy isn't as strong. So there really has come no good from women entering the workforce.
I think there's context missing because the majority of women were entering the workforce when men were away at war and they needed the workforce. So a lot of women
Then
didn't
they came
even,
back.
Yeah, and then but there were a
And
lot
what
of
happened?
a lot of them were injured. A lot of them didn't have the proper mental health care. It was
Yeah, aren't we like the
they
nurses?
treated
Like-
their veterans horribly.
All the
so there's
nurses are
definitely needs to
females.
be some
When you see
context
a
to
male
that. Not only that,
one mic at
of
a time,
course.
ladies. One mic at a time.
Of course, a number of divorce rates are going to drastically increase if women couldn't divorce from before. So, of course, you'd have an increase in that, right? And now that women have more options and more freedom, there's going to be different spikes when it comes to different statistics. There's always context needed when we use these statistics.
Yeah, well, women initiate 80% of the divorces.
Yeah, because
right?
they couldn't before. Now
No,
they can.
No. They had the same rights to divorce before, but here's the difference.
I'm not talking about rights.
I'm sorry?
I'm not talking about rights.
But I'm saying they had the ability to do so, but what kept them from divorcing before?
They couldn't provide for themselves. Women weren't even really allowed to have bank accounts until recently. Like,
They were working.
The reason why, I'll tell you why, is because we had a society that respected male authority and women had some level of shame. Now women don't have any shame. It's about living my best life. See, men will grind and have a family. Men will sacrifice their happiness for their family. Women will sacrifice their family for happiness. That's the difference. We basically told this lie to women that your happiness is paramount to everything. If you're not happy with your husband, leave.
Yep.
So that's what women do. They leave. They think they could get a better deal, and the family courts support them in doing so. So they have every incentive.
She knows.
They have every incentive to leave because they could get the child support and the alimony, destroy the family in the process, and the welfare state comes in and takes over.
so then can I ask you a question, obviously, other than this
Oh,
one?
and then one more thing. And then with the breakdown of religion is no longer, a thing that people fear and society, no shaming, etc. When you remove all these societal training wheels, what are women going to do? They're going to do what they want and what makes them happy.
Relax.
Which, feminism has sold them this lie that they can kind of just live life however they want and be fine.
Yeah, one time. I heard that. I heard it.
So I do.
You said I know. What do I know?
Yeah, but afterwards, you said, what the fuck? You know what's fine, man. Go ahead, Myron.
So yeah,
I'm so lost.
So am I.
Go
So
ahead.
my question is, right, now that it is widely known that women initiate the majority of divorces, and a big thing is either irreconcilable differences, infidelity, and I forget what the other top reason was.
Money is one of the main reasons.
Yeah, money. There you go. Well, I'm not sure what the proper term is, so
Lack of money.
Okay.
There you go.
Lack of money. So if men know that infidelity has now become a lot of women's non-negotiables, like they will leave because of that, why do they insist on cheating? Because you said that women will sacrifice their families for happiness. So if men are chasing other women to be happy, can you also say that men sacrifice their families for happiness?
No, because most men don't have the capability to actually cheat. They would if they could, but most men don't have the capability to cheat. Most guys are in a relationship where the woman is telling him what to do. He got her by the skin of his teeth. He's not that attractive. He barely was not her first choice.
He doesn't get sex at all.
He doesn't get sex at all.
I was talking about in the cases of infidelity. I know like that's generally not
it's
the
biology, by all means.
And also, and a lot of sexless marriages. Something like 60% plus of marriages are sexless, which basically means sex once a year, if not less, or once a month. I forget the exact definition. But the point I'm trying to make is, right, when women got cheated on before, they would make it work because they understood that duty and the marriage was more important. They kind of just accepted it. Nowadays, thanks to feminism, we prioritize female happiness over the family. That's why the nuclear family has been destroyed and we have quite a bit of degeneracy we have now, because all the training wheels, religion, shame, society, and masculinity in general, they're all gone. They're all out the wayside because of feminism.
I have a question.
So you speak till death do us
And
part.
to compound the problem, women make their own money and they get their own status. What do? They want a man that's